Okay, so let's quickly review what a myth is. So I'm going to play this. It doesn't have any sound, so I just want you to watch, and I'm going to read it. So what is a myth? A myth is part of a genre. So genre is the type of story, of fiction. And it's sometimes called a folklore. Brooklyn, bring that on my desk because that is not yours.
That's Carson's. You let me play with it.
It's not a toy to play with. And we've talked about not using other people's stuff in the classroom. It is a traditional story, and it's designed to explain sometimes the early history of people or something that naturally happens. Okay? It's coming. A lot of times we do not know the authors. The authors of these myths are unknown. Have you guys ever heard this story, how the leopard got his spots?
No.
No? Okay, tomorrow, after your attendance, I'm going to put this myth up on your attendance so that you can listen to this myth, okay? So this is a myth on why the leopard got his spots. So a lot of times we don't know the authors, okay? And there are some different types of myths, and I'm just going to quickly go through these. One is about creation, and it's like how the earth or a group of people came to be. Some myths are about nature. Now, when we read our story on Tuesday about the fir tree, is that about nature?
Yes.
Yeah, because trees are out in nature, right? And then on Monday when we did our read aloud about the bluebells, is that about nature too? Yes. So the myths that we have learned about nature. But sometimes myths are about like creating things and how the earth came to be or how a group of people came to be. And then there's one more type here. And this type, hold on, it's coming, is heroes. And this is what we're going to learn about today. Hero myths describe like a quest, like when a hero wants to try to conquer something and they want to be the hero or the heroine, then we sometimes have hero myths. And that's what we're going to read today. We're going to read a myth about a hero. All right, so you should have your name on the top of your paper. And we're going to read about this person here, or this hero. Who can pronounce this? Raylan, what do you think?
Like Clytie or Clytie.
Yeah, I would pronounce this Clytie, because I would say the Y would say the I sound. Clytie, and can anyone pronounce this one? Kaden? Apollo. Good job. So we're going to learn about these guys. They're like heroes, or sometimes they're even like god or goddesses. If you've heard of them, they're made up. Okay? And so Apollo is going to be like the ruler of the sun. Okay? So put your finger on the word Apollo. And show me you're ready to read as a whole second grade class. Mason, we're waiting for you. All right, here we go. Ready? Apollo was the ruler of the sun. Stop. Tyson, let's go back and let's try it again. We're waiting for you. Put your finger on Apollo. Every time I look up and I don't see someone reading with us, we're going to start over. Here we go. Ready?
Apollo was the ruler of the sun.
Clytie loved to watch Apollo as he moved across the sky. She watched him so often that she became a sunflower. Even today, sunflowers turn to the sun. So that's why we have sunflowers. It's because of this. Do you guys believe that?
No.
It's a myth. Some people believe the reason why we have sunflowers is sunrise. She loved to watch the sun in the sky. And she watched him so often, she became a sunflower.
Was it a person and then what?
All right. All right. So, this is a myth. We know it's not true, but this is one myth that describes how sunflowers came to be. Okay? So, how do we know what we just read is a myth? How do we know that? There are some elements that we've talked about all week. How do we know it's a myth?
Because it doesn't really make any sense.
Okay, it's like a made-up story, right? And it kind of isn't really like truthful either, right? There's nothing really truthful about it, right? Okay, doesn't make sense. What else, Addie?
Because if you watch the sun so often, you don't turn into a sunflower.
Right, right. If you guys
You
went
get
outside and
blind.
watched the sun and you're
Eyes
outside
would
time,
probably be like,
you would not turn into a sunflower.
you'd be like boiling. Yeah, I didn't look at the sun a lot though.
You would just
I know, but I've actually been like this ever since 3. We just didn't know. So I don't go outside and watch the
Okay.
sunlight.
All right. So,
If
if you also remember from our book, the first one was that it's definitely a made-up story. But also there was a couple other, and I didn't pull it up here, but let me just look here really quickly. It explains why things are the way they are. What is it explaining here? What is it explaining? Carson, what is it explaining?
like how mist can
No, what is it explaining? Look here. What is it explaining? Corla?
that one.
How sunflowers came to be. So let's put on number 1. It's a made-up story. We're going to do 2 things. Made-up story. So a myth is always a made-up story. And then this one tells us how sunflowers came to be. We know it's not true, but it's telling us one myth on how they came to be.
Myths are fun.
Okay, just like in our story yesterday, we learned how fir trees or evergreen trees came to be always green.
Wait, what?
To help the squirrels so they can build their nests. And we know that some of us believe it, some of us don't believe it. So we know it's made up, so it's probably not true. But it's kind of fun to use our imaginations. And that's what myths do. They just let us use our imaginations.
And using your imagination is good.
It is very good to use your imagination.
Sometimes it can get boring.
Okay. Now after you write these 2, I want you to think the next question says, who is Apollo? And if you don't know, I want you to look back up here. Because the very first sentence tells us who he is. Who was Apollo? I want you to be thinking, who was he? Elias? Yeah, he's the ruler of the sun. So it says Apollo was the ruler of the sun. So, ruler of the sun.
What's the ruler like of a sun?
charge of it, like the king, the ruler.
Of your, so our dad's the ruler of us.
Exactly. Your house. Your mom and dads are the ruler of your house.
Wait, there's two rulers.
Mrs. Murphy, Miss Subert are the rulers of the classroom.
There's two rulers.
Yes.
And Miss Murphy. There's two rulers.
Yeah, and
Miss
Mrs.
Murphy,
Murphy,
there's two rulers. The ruler that
Yes.
you measure with and a ruler
Yes.
like the telephone.
Yep, ruler has two meanings. We're not talking about the ruler you measure with. That's a different kind of ruler.
Would it be spelled the
Hey, they're spelled the same though. It just has multiple meanings. Remember, not yesterday, last week we talked about words with multiple meanings.
I like that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Multiple meanings.
Yep.
Like
Okay, number 3. I'll read it. Some of you are still writing, so I just want you to think as I read it. Why does Clytie look up at the sun? Why does she look up there? Who does she want to see? Kinsley?
The ruler of the sun.
Yeah. What was the ruler of the sun? Do you remember the name?
Hello.
She loved watching the ruler of the sun, or we could write Apollo, right?
Oh
Yep, Apollo. She loved watching Apollo. That's why she always looked up at the sun.
I like that name.
Apollo, I do too.
Apollo. That's a nice name.
Miss Murphy, that's the name I was trying to think of to name my little puppy.
Apollo?
I was trying
There's
to
an artist
Apollo.
named Apollo.
I was going to tell
Apollo
my
Picasso.
Miss Murphy, I was going to tell my
Pablo,
mom
Pablo
that
Picasso.
my brain exploded. I couldn't
okay.
I couldn't think it.
Okay.
Name a little boy.
Hey,
You could
follow.
name a
As
girl
you
or a
write
boy.
number 3, everybody should get this one. What does the myth explain, or what is the myth trying to teach us? And I think we kind of wrote it up here a little bit too. And you can also look at the very ending. The very last sentence kind of tells us also. So what is this myth trying to explain or tell us? Ingrid?
Even today, sunflower turns to the sun.
Yep, the sunflowers turn to the sun. Good job. So it explains why sunflowers turn to the sun.
Miss Murphy.
What's the last one?
Yep.
Yay! I thought that there was another one.
I'm gonna have another. Number.
Okay, that should be the last.
Oh, where's this one?
You can put look. That'd be fine. Did you put look? It's the same thing. Look and turn.